Welcome, everybody. This is David Mace, and I am your host of the Mace Machine Horror Show. And tonight I'm going to be talking about the Silent Night, Deadly Night movie series. And this is a series that came to me. I grew up with it probably in the mid 80s, is when I first saw the first couple of them. And then yeah, kind of followed them all. In this rankings, there's six of them. I am including the reboot remake movie that was made. And so I'm going to rank all six of them from least to best. And I would love to see your rankings in the bottom section below. So I'm going to jump right into this. I'm going to dive right into this. So number 6 is going to be Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4, The Initiation. So this right here is a bootleg DVD that I burned a long time ago that has 3, 4, and 5 on it, since they do not make any of those entries on Blu-ray as of yet. This one's very unmemorable. It stars Clint Howard in it, Reggie Bannister from the Phantasm series, Neith Howard, and also Maud Adams. So basically, what this one comes down to, it's unlike any of the others in the series. It's about this reporter in LA who is trying to get to the bottom of this unsolved crimes that happened. There's a woman that fell off a roof in fire, and she ends up getting really close after doing her investigating to these women. Maud Adams' character, which is FEMA, and realizes that everybody around her is basically a cult of witches. Clint Howard's character is like the nephew of the main witch there, and basically it's about all these bugs that go inside people. It's just weird all over the place. Just not very memorable at all. I mean, it should be a movie that's kind of just on its own, kind of like how they have like a lot of the Hellraiser entries where you can just slap the title Hellraiser on it and it doesn't even seem like a Pinhead movie. That's how this Silent Night, Deadly Night movie feels as well. So yeah, that one's ranked at my number 6. Number 5 is onto the same DVD that I have, and it's Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3. You Better Watch Out. And this one stars Bill Moseley in it. It also stars Samantha Scully. And it just kind of continues off of part 2, which is nice, of the Ricky character. And this time it's, played by Bill Moseley. After the events of the second movie, Ricky's in a coma, and this doctor's been trying to do a lot of research on him and a lot of brain surgery work on him. He's got this weird glass above him, and then he's also been dealing with this blind teenage girl who kind of has like psychic abilities to where she can read minds, and for whatever reason, her and Ricky's character have some kind of a connection there. She starts having nightmares of Ricky's, so seeing a lot of his flashbacks from like the first 2 movies. And then he starts seeing into her as well. She's talking about she's going to go spend the Christmas holidays with her grandmother and her brother and her brother's girlfriend. And then Ricky kind of wakes up from the coma, and it's almost like they can see what she sees. A little bit kind of connection of like that they have like in Halloween 5 between Jamie and Michael. And this entry's all right. It's not very popular in this series. She, basically, Ricky kind of feeds off some of the feelings that she has. Like there's a really snotty secretary up front at the hospital, and basically the Laura character who's blind, she basically calls her a bitch and stuff, and kind of like has these premonitions, thoughts of like her dying, and then Ricky ends up killing her, and he ends up waking up, killing a bunch of people, and steals a Santa suit from some guy coming in to visit in the hospital. And then he, I Actually, he does not kill. He does not wear the Santa suit in this one. He kills somebody dressed up as Santa because he's obsessed with the color red, and that one's kind of continued from part two and a little bit from part one too. Like when he sees Santa get shot at the end of the first one, the color red kind of really sets the Ricky character off. And anybody dressed in red, he sees red, he just instantly wants to kill somebody. He sees blood, basically. So he basically, after he leaves the hospital, he hitchhikes from or some car picks him up. He's hitchhiking on the road. He ends up killing them. He goes to Laura's grandmother's house, and Laura's grandmother's such a sweetheart. It's too bad that Ricky kills her character. She lets him in, right, welcomes him into his home, tries to feed him and everything, and then she hands him like a Christmas gift, and it's like wrapped up in red. And then he kills her off screen. And then Laura's being picked up. When she's coming out there, she's with her brother, and then meets her brother's girlfriend, and she's really snotty to her right away. And eventually, when they get to the house, Laura instantly senses that something's wrong. Grandma's missing, and the doctor realizes Ricky's escaped too, and figures that maybe, like, him and the detective think that maybe Ricky's on his way to Laura's house, or grandmother's house, because he senses all the psychic abilities that the two seem to have together. Eventually, the doctor leaves the detective at the gas station, steals his car, and eventually runs into Ricky. Ricky ends up stabbing the doctor, killing him, and then he has kind of a showdown with Laura's brother. Ends up stabbing him a couple times. Eventually, they have like a showdown. Um, Laura, it's a little, there's a couple of scary scenes there, especially, if you're a blind victim and knowing that the killer's on his way, trying to hunt you down, stalk you down. And then I know at the end, Laura has a little showdown with Ricky and stabs him. And that's basically it. That's pretty much the rundown of three. It's not very memorable either. So that one's my number five. The top four I all really enjoy very much. Number four also comes from this one as well, and it's Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5, The Toy Maker. And this one kind of grew on me. It's definitely another one that doesn't seem the same as the rest of the series. It's almost like kind of like like in John Carpenter, like when he had the direction of wanting to do different ideas on Halloween. It's almost like they kind of took in that trend in the Silent Night, Deadly Night series after the third one. Because the fifth one is kind of its film on its own, but it also has some of the survivors from the fourth one, which I thought was kind of cool. Like it had what was her name? Neith Hunter, the Kim character from part four, and her son. Their characters continue in the fifth one. Also, Clint Howard. Not his character, but he does play a small role in the fifth one. It also stars Mickey Rooney, stars as Joe Petto, there's a real funny about Mickey Rooney, the actor, or the himself. I know when the first Silent Night, Deadly Night movie came out, he was one of the biggest critics of talking about what a piece of trash that movie was and what a disgrace having a killer Santa Claus. And let it be known, years later, 7 years later, now he's playing a character in a Silent Night, Deadly Night film. So total hypocrite when he's judging the series. And I thought he did a pretty good job in this movie. Basically, his character, he runs his own toy shop. And he has his son, Peto, which is played by Brian Brenner. He also plays a role in Pumpkinhead, the original, and he plays in some other movies. Stars also Jane Higginson, who plays Sarah. Boy Derek, William Thorne plays the little boy, and then you got Tracy Frame, who plays Noah. And they make him sound like he's kind of play like almost like he's a disturbing character, like he's going to be a villain, and he's almost like a red herring in a way. And the story starts where the little boy, the character's name is Derek. He gets a knock on the door, and this weird Christmas present is there, and his stepdad, which is basically his father, and his mom are sleeping together at the time, and the stepdad comes down and notices he's like trying to open gifts, and he opens it up, and it's basically this toy that ends up killing the stepdad. And then at that moment, Derek kind of becomes mute, doesn't really say anything for a long time throughout the movie. It's really traumatized. And then all of a sudden, Noah comes into town. He's kind of this mysterious character. We find out the revealing later that he is actually Derek's real father. He's been kind of stalking the house. He basically, when he impregnated Sarah, the character, he went off to the military, did a lot of growing up. He couldn't provide for her, and then once he got out, now he wants to try to start a family with his son, and then her, and the Mickey Rooney's character Joe and his son. All these mysterious killings start coming around with toys, and they have like like rollerblades are all malfunctioned. All these other toys too. There's like a worm that kills like the landlord of where Noah was staying at this hotel. And then, eventually Derek gets kidnapped from Joe Petto. And later on at the end, tail end of the movie, you realize that really it is Pino. You think maybe he's dead, but it's really Pino doing all the killings. He's let alone he's like a toy robot, and he kills his dad. Sarah goes looking for her son, and then Noah comes after her as well. And then they realize he's a robot. He tries to rape his mom, or tries to rape Sarah, trying to think that he's like his mother or something. And then they kill the robot at the end, and then the family just unites. So yeah, it's not that bad. It'd be better too if it wasn't a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie. It's just kind of like a Halloween 3 type situation, like trying to kill all the kids with toys and stuff. So kind of like Colonel Cochran trying to kill all the kids with masks. He uses toys instead. So kind of similar ideas there. So now we go on to my third ranking in the series, and that is the Reboot, Silent Night. I've probably seen this movie about 4 or 5 times now. I try to view it now every year, every Christmas. I'm a big fan of this movie. I think it's a really good movie on its own. It's basically nothing like the original Silent Night, Deadly Night series, but it is still like the same concept of like a Santa Claus killing people, that everybody who's naughty. They do have a lot of throwbacks from the original of like the deer head killing. There's a scene where he kills like a little girl in the beginning who's like a really snob little girl, but it's kind of disturbing, but it's kind of weird. Malcolm McDowell plays the sheriff in this, and Jamie King does a really good job too as a cop. It's basically, there's a lot of red herrings in this one as well. They have a couple Santas in town that come out of town. This really funny guy who comes in, he's just joking with everybody, and they throw him in jail. They think he's the one doing these killings. And then they have another guy dressed up as Santa who runs away as soon as he sees a cop. And he's not doing the killings either, but he does tell this story about this guy who came into town and with this little Tommy gun flamethrower. And really that guy ends up being the killer, the story that he's talking about, the urban legend. And Jamie King's character, her father, was I believe he was the sheriff at the time, and he talks like how he thought he stopped that killer in the past, let alone he did not. I mean, he comes back for revenge and ends up killing him and his wife, which is Jamie King's parents. And then eventually in the end, she ends up thinking she kills him too at the end. You see that he survives at the end. I would love to see a sequel to this movie. I think it's an excellent entry. I did watch the first five Silent Night, Deadly Night movies today. So I'm going to revisit Silent Night after this video tonight so I can get a better grip on remembering. I remember most of it, but a lot of cool stuff in this movie. I mean, it could climb up to my number two, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So number two actually is the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. And, this is the one that started it all. Big fan of Billy. This movie starts off where Billy is 7 years old and he has his brother Ricky, who's a toddler, and his parents are getting ready. It's basically based in Utah, where they're going to go visit Billy's father in this insane asylum or something. He hasn't spoken in years. And the parents go there. They're trying to talk to him. And the psychiatrist takes the parents away and has Billy wait with Grandpa. And then once they move away, all of a sudden, Grandpa's coherent. He starts warning Billy, saying, if you haven't been nice all year, if you've been naughty, Santa Claus is going to pay you a visit tonight. And it's the worst nightmare ever, basically, and scares the crap out of Billy. Billy was completely normal up until that moment. And now all of a sudden, he's scared of Santa Claus and wants nothing to do with him, and tries to tell his parents that. They're not sure if they believe him or not. I think they kind of think they do, but I don't know. And so they're driving down the highway, gets dark. There's this Santa Claus. There's this guy dressed up as Santa Claus, and he robs his store, kills the clerk, and basically for $31, and steals his car. Car breaks down on the side of the road. Let it be known, Billy, his parents, they stop by. This guy dressed up as Santa Claus. Billy's like, no, don't stop. And his parents are just all excited, thinking it's Santa Claus, and basically he just wants to rob their car. Take their car, and they try to pull it in reverse. The Santa Claus ends up shooting the dad. They basically crash a few hundred feet down the road. The father falls out of the car, killed. Billy runs out of the car, hides out in the bushes, and the mother, gets pulled out by the guy, the killer, and then he ends up trying to rape her. She hits him or slaps him, and then he slaps her back, and then he slits her throat and kills her. Billy's witnessing all this. So Billy and Ricky ends up going to this the St. Mary's orphanage, where they're all, Billy specifically is all messed up through these visions, and the Mother Superior there is such a bitch there. I mean, she's so strict, and Billy just he doesn't know how to act. He's just they have them do all these drawings. He draws this picture of Santa Claus, murdering like a reindeer, and Santa being murdered. And Mother Superior gets pissed off. She grounds him to his room, telling him he can't come out. And then on his way back to his room, he finds this sister and this other guy in the church or at the orphanage having sex. And then Mother Superior finds them, beats them, and then comes and finds Billy, starts beating him too because he left his room. First, though, like the mother actually had him, not Mother Superior, but one of the Sister Margaret brought him outside to go play, thought, without conducting with Mother Superior. So basically she gets him in trouble. And, Mother Superior thinks that she can just help Billy through anything. And, I don't know, Billy ends up, she thinks that Christmas comes along. She's going to make Billy sit on Santa Claus's lap. Sister Margaret's just like, oh, this is not good. It's going to open up old wounds. And then ends up, he knocks out the Santa Claus, hides in his corner. I just really feel for this kid. They should have got, some professional help here. The Mother Superior just thinks that she's just like a psychiatrist and could just heal this kid through everything, and let alone he's got all this post-traumatic stress disorder from watching his parents get murdered by Santa Claus. So he's forever traumatic. And then fast forward years later, Sister Margaret gets Billy this job at this toy store, at Ira's toy store, which is has a Brett Leach starring in it, and he played like I remember seeing him in a lot of stuff. He played in one of the Tales from the Crypt episodes I really enjoy. Skin Deep with Leah Thompson in it, where he's trying to mold her face and giving her like $10,000 to for her beauty and stuff. So he plays a role in that. He's also like Ira in the toy store. He's the owner there. Um, Also in this movie, it also some of the other characters. You got Linnea Quigley plays Denise. You also got Leo Getter plays Tommy, her boyfriend, and he also plays the character in Halloween 6, The Curse of Myers, Barry, sports, the radio talk show host. So he plays a role in this movie as well. You also got another Halloween character, Don Shanks, who plays Michael Myers himself in Halloween 5. There's a scene where this dad's dressed up as Santa Claus later on in the movie, getting ready to crawl through his daughter's bedroom, and the cops have these orders to bring in Santa Claus, and they almost shoot his character. So that's pretty cool. Another Easter egg in that movie. Um, but rewind a little bit. So Billy's got this job in this toy store. He's all of a sudden big, muscular, good kid. He's got this asshole colleague who works with him, who's always drinking all the time, trying to offer Billy alcohol. And Billy, has this cool '80s monologue montage there, which is pretty funny. And Billy's drinking milk, and then there's a scene where it shows Billy fixing like a coloring book, and then it shows Mr. Sims, Ira, in the background is smiling, like shaking his head because Billy did the right thing. And there's other really pretty girl there that works with him as well, and Billy's kind of got a crush on her. Seems like she has a crush on him too, but the asshole guy seems to be into her as well, and seems like she's kind of into him too. And then all of a sudden it gets close to Christmas time, and then they need somebody to play Santa Claus. Then Mr. Sims has Billy play Santa Claus. They don't know a lot about his history with the Santa Claus history there of killing his parents. He knew about his parents dying, but he didn't know about how they died. So Billy's having all these thoughts, like, uh-oh, I'm going to play Santa Claus. So he does it. And then he starts threatening all the kids there. He's like, you're being naughty. I don't bring toys to naughty children. I punish them severely. After they have the last kids, they have this little party there, and everybody starts drinking. And then the asshole guy brings the girl Pamela to the back. He starts kissing on her and stuff, and Billy goes back to check on her, because he kind of likes her and doesn't like this guy. And I don't know how Mr. Sims doesn't realize this guy's just an asshole who keeps, it's all he's just bullying Billy around when he's not noticing and stuff. Billy would just whip this guy. So then the guy starts kissing on Pamela, and then he tries to start raping her because she's not really giving in, and rips open her blouse, her sweater, and everything. And then Billy just starts having all these thoughts, the rage building up from seeing his parents being killed and his mother being raped, and all of a sudden he just says punish, and he comes over, he ends up grabbing the guy and chokes him with Christmas lights up in the air. And seems like Pamela would at least kind of thank him for that, but then no, she's just saying, you're crazy, get the fuck away from me. It's almost like Billy kind of snaps out of it for a second, like thinking he's just trying to protect her. And then she's not buying in, so she says, she hates him, and then so he stabs her with a box cutter knife. And Mr. Sims comes back to investigate because he hears all these noises, and Billy ends up killing him with a hammer, kind of like a little bit like Michael Myers killed with Garrison, or not Garrison, yeah, Sheriff Garris, not Sheriff Garris, but Mr. Garris, the security guard in Halloween 2 at the hospital. And then he ends up killing the other lady there as well with a bow and arrow. And then he starts going down, I figure next move he's going after punish everybody who's naughty, and then he definitely is looking for Mother Superior. That's who he really wants revenge on. And that's where he kills Linnea Quigley's character with the antlers, the classic antlers kill. And then he also kills Tommy, Mr. Barry Sims himself, throws him through the window. Weren't they named Barry Sims after Mr. Sims on this movie? That's kind of an interesting connection. Um, Eventually, he makes it all the way back to the orphanage, where one of the deputies out there sees, excuse me, sees a Santa Claus there, and so he shoots him, thinking it's Billy, and the kids all see it. Ricky also sees it too, so he's instantly traumatized seeing Santa Claus getting killed right in front of him. Mother Superior has all the kids inside. The guy basically apologizes and then goes around the perimeter, and there is a Santa Claus on the way. They figure Billy's on his way, and eventually Billy ends up killing him in this storage, almost like a storage area for like a storm shelter or something. Gets him with the axe, punish right through the chest. It's a good kill there. Billy starts knocking on the window there, and the kids end up letting him in. And then Billy's just right there. That's like the one kill you kind of wish would happen. If anybody deserves to die in that series, it seems like it's Mother Superior. She's just easily a character that you just do not like. And Billy comes really close to getting her, and then all of a sudden the sheriff shows up with Sister Margaret, shoots him a couple times, and then Ricky's right there, and he says, "Naughty." So, yeah, that's the end of the first one. Great entry. Very underrated movie. And then we just go right into my number one. And yes, might not be everybody else's number one, but it is my number one. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Yes, just like my poster back here. The special edition with Ricky. I even got his little action figure there as well. Huge fan of this movie because of how cheesy the acting is. I mean, you get part one, and then you get a little bit of part two mixed in with it, so it's great. So, starts off with Ricky in prison, and he's got this clinic area for, I don't know, not prison, or I don't know, like psychiatric clinic or whatever. Dr. Bloom comes in to interview him, basically to tell Ricky his life story. And Ricky goes into telling the whole story of part one, 3/4 of it, basically 45 minutes of it. And then you get some scenes in here. Eric Freeman just does a marvelous job. His acting is so over the top that I love it. I mean, not much I can say. It is my favorite all-time horror Christmas movie. I love it. I just get a kick out of Ricky, excuse me. Anytime, everything he does in that movie is just gold to me. It's a joy. So some of the other scenes, you get some of his killings in there. He's a teenager. He kills this couple. This guy's raping this girl out in the woods, and then he gets in the Jeep and runs him over. And seems like in a lot of the other movies, or in the first two entries, anybody that he kills that he seems to be doing a favor of, they get angry and he ends up killing them as well. But this girl is the smart one here. Like after he kills this guy, running him over and over again, she comes over and she's just saying thank you. So that's kind of interesting there. And then a couple other killings in this one is one of my favorites in the whole series is this loan shark guy. He basically, Ricky's a dishwasher or a cook at this restaurant, and he's taking out the trash, and out in the back he sees this loan shark back there beating up this guy who owes him money, and Ricky's all, sounds like a squirrel getting his nuts squeezed. And some of his sayings are they're priceless. They're hilarious. And this one is actually, this guy probably deserves what he gets as well. I mean, he's telling this guy, I hope he doesn't pay, and he keeps beating the hell out of him. And then Ricky comes over and just stops him in his tracks. And this guy's like, "Ooh, you're really asking for it." And Ricky picks him up and throws him. It looks like 20 yards away, and he falls into this trash. And picks him up, picks him up with his hand, raises him up, and the guy starts punching Ricky. Ricky sees this umbrella on the ground, and then he just stabs him through it. And then the umbrella pops up, and this, I don't know, it's a hilarious kill. Then it starts raining, and you can see the blood everywhere. And I don't know, that's a great kill there. And then Dr. Bloom starts to get to him, starts showing this picture of this girl named Jennifer, and he's all, Ricky, who's this? And he's all, tell me about Jennifer. And Ricky's all, eat shit. He's pissed off, and he's like, it's the only girl I ever loved. And it's funny how they met. He's on his motorcycle, Ricky, and she runs him over, and then she laughs, which is just hilarious. And the girl who plays Jennifer is Elizabeth Kaitan, and she also plays Robin in Friday 13th Part 7, The New Blood. I didn't recognize her until years later. I thought she was a lot more attractive in this movie than she was in the New Blood of Friday 13th, and then realized, oh wow, that's the same girl. But they basically meet, they start dating, and then they go into this tunnel, and they just ride in the valley, and they have sex, and then they go to this movie theater, which is this hilarious scene, all in all, where this guy starts laughing at him. He's just being all obnoxious and making fun. He's like, kiss her, Studley. And then, I don't know, Ricky goes back and ends up killing this guy, tackling on the ground. You can see their feet kicking up in the air, popcorn flying everywhere, which is a real funny scene all in itself. And then Jennifer's there. They're watching actually the original Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, like at the theater, which I don't even know how that's even possible. It's just hilarious how the whole scene plays out. And then Jennifer's ex-boyfriend shows up, Chip, from behind. He kind of looks like I don't know, like a watered down Billy Idol looking dude. I don't know. He's just a freaking douchebag all around, and telling her you should go back with me, and talking, I don't know, bunch of crap. But another funny scene in that is after Ricky comes back, shows, like, I think it's like the next day or something, they're walking down the street, and Ricky's voice, he talks in normal, all of a sudden has almost like this feminine voice when they're walking down the street, and he's wearing this big blue sweater. It looks almost like a Pamela Voorhees sweater from Friday 13th Part 1, or Rick from Friday 13th Part 3, except a darker blue version of it. And they're walking down the street, and then they just run into Chip, of all people. And then I don't know, Chip just thinks he's a badass or something. He just starts talking all this shit and egging on Ricky. And then Ricky ends up basically putting a battery charger for a car in his mouth, and turns up the volume and pops out his eyes, which is pretty good kill there. And then all of a sudden Jennifer turns on Ricky, which I understand, killing somebody, but this guy is just egging him on, just mocking him. And at least she should just say, hey, Ricky, we can't be together anymore. I'm, breaking up with you, basically. Not saying I hate you and all this shit. And this guy he's definitely, unstable, and he blacked out. So he ends up ripping off the antenna from Chip's car, and then choking her out. And then that's where he just really goes on his rampage of what this movie's known. It's known for Garbage Day. This cop comes from behind, and basically this little guy looks almost like Jim Carrey, like Fire Marshal Bill, almost from like In Living Color. It's like, I'm gonna slip the handcuffs on. He just keeps coming towards Ricky, and instead of telling him to turn around, putting your hands up, he puts the gun right up to him. Ricky just reverses the gun and shoots him right in the head. So, and Ricky just starts laughing, walking down the street, ha 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 ha, just starts killing everybody. It comes out on the road, just right in broad daylight, shoots this one guy. He's all, motherfucker. And then the next guy comes in with taking out the trash, and he's just like, Garbage Day. And then he shoots him. And then all of a sudden this little girl comes down. She's all, excuse me, mister. And Ricky's all, that's okay. Just lets her go by, which is cool. She's being polite, so he's not going to kill her. And then and all of a sudden this car drives down. He shoots him a few times, and he's all bingo. The car tips over literally like 2 feet away from him. It's a crazy scene all in itself. And then Ricky, finally the cops show up. There's like 3 or 4 cops just waiting, pointing their guns at him. And he's like, ah, ha, 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 you don't scare me. And then Ricky's about to shoot himself, and then no more bullets. And then he gets arrested. So that's how he ends up getting arrested, then going to the funny farm. And then during that time, he ends up strangling Dr. Bloom while he's telling the story, puts a cigarette butt out right on Jennifer's mouth of her picture, and then strangles Bloom with all the tape that he's been recording their whole session with. And then he escapes, kills everybody there, finds it's Santa Claus, kills him, dress up, and then he goes to hunt down Mother Superior. So where Billy failed, Ricky's gonna strive to his goal to kill Mother Superior finally. But I feel like as an audience, we get cheated because it's not the real woman who plays Mother Superior. It's some other lady who had a stroke, and she looks nothing like her. And then Ricky ends up chopping her head off with the axe. And then Sister Margaret, played by another character, and then the detective hunt him down, and Ricky has all moo before he's gonna kill her. And they find Mother Superior, their head off, and then Ricky gets shot a couple times, falls through the glass, and that is the end of the movie. So yeah, that's the end of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I think it's a very underrated series. I personally haven't seen many other people rank this series as well. I figured I'd do this because it's Christmas themed. I was going to do the Friday 13th series next, but I think I'll wait and do that next week. But I would love to see your rankings down here in the comments section. So please, everybody, if you like my page, like and subscribe. Spread the word. Again, I just want to keep improving with this. And I wish everybody a happy and safe holidays, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, everybody. Good night.